Welcome back to Azure ThoughtWorks, where we don't just build for the cloud, we build for change. This is the fourth episode in our Microsoft Cloud Adoption Framework series, and today we dive into a critical phase that defines your foundation in Azure, the ready phase. The ready phase is where your Azure environment takes shape, where planning becomes architecture and concepts become cloud-native structures. It's about preparing your Azure setup with the right subscriptions, governance, access control, and architecture needed to scale securely. The goal? To create a secure, scalable, and governed landing zone that can host your workloads confidently. Let's start with resource organization. In Azure, organizing your environment correctly from the beginning is one of the most impactful decisions you'll make. Use management groups to reflect your org structure. Think enterprise, departments, or regional units. Under that, you group your subscriptions, which are your logical containers for workloads. Think of it as setting up the file cabinet before storing any documents. Then within each subscription, use resource groups to group services that share the same lifecycle. For example, a healthcare provider with multiple hospitals could create management groups like clinical, research, and operations. Under each, subscriptions can represent dev, test, and prod environments for each business unit. This model helps streamline governance, billing, and policy enforcement. Avoid shared subscriptions unless you have a compelling reason. Instead, create dedicated subscriptions for major workloads or business domains. This improves billing transparency, simplifies access control, and lets you apply specific policies where needed. A growing SaaS company might use separate subscriptions for core platform services, customer environments, internal dev test workloads. Use naming conventions across subscriptions and groups for operational clarity. Azure spans the globe, but you must choose regions strategically. Data residency, latency, and compliance are top priorities. A financial services firm based in the UK should select UK South or UK West to stay compliant with data sovereignty laws while maintaining high availability. Region selection isn't just about performance, it's about compliance, latency, and availability. Each Azure region has specific capabilities, pricing, and data residency rules. For example, UK-based financial services should choose UK South or UK West to ensure GDPR compliance and low latency for local customers. Use paired regions to design for resiliency. Always know your fallback in case of failure. Who can do what in Azure is critical. Use Azure RBAC and Microsoft Entra ID, formerly Azure AD, to enforce least privilege access. Role-based access isn't a feature, it's a necessity. Picture this. An intern should never have the same access as your security lead. Implement roles like reader, contributor, and owner appropriately. Use Microsoft Entra ID to manage identity and Azure RBAC to assign permissions. Follow least privilege principles. Don't give everyone contributor access to everything. Define roles at the right scope, management group, subscription, or resource group level. Use built-in roles like reader, view-only contributor, modify but not manage access owner, full control. You can also define custom roles for specialized access needs. Cloud isn't a blank check. Tagging, budgets, and cost management tools let you track, forecast, and optimize spending. If you're running multiple environments or projects or line of business application, tagging resources with environment equals dev or project equals Neuroplex helps you know where every spend is going. Azure is scalable, but without cost governance, it can scale your invoice too. Use Azure Cost Management plus Billing to set budgets and alerts. Analyze spend by service, tag, or subscription. Forecast future costs. Combine this with consistent tagging, using tags like environment equals prod or project equals marketing, AI to get granular insights into cloud spend. You can't bolt on security later. Use Azure Policy, Blueprints, and Defender for Cloud to enforce guardrails from day one. Let's say you operate in healthcare. Set policies that enforce encryption, control location of resources, and flag non-compliant deployments instantly. Use Azure policy to enforce rules like storage accounts must be encrypted, resources must be in specific regions, only certain VM SKUs are allowed. Combine that with blueprints to deploy environments with predefined RBAC policies and ARM templates. And with Microsoft Defender for Cloud, get a unified view of security posture with recommendations and threat alerts. What you can't see, you can't protect. Azure Monitor, Log Analytics, and Application Insights provide the eyes and ears for your environment. For instance, if latency spikes in your patient records app, real-time alerts can trigger auto-scaling or notify the on-call engineer. Azure provides powerful monitoring tools. Azure Monitor for metrics and logs, Log Analytics for deep queries, Application Insights for app performance and usage. Set alerts on key signals, like CPU, memory, or network errors. Feed insights into your DevOps pipeline to improve mean time to resolve and system health. Azure evolves fast. Make it part of your operational rhythm to review changes, new regions, deprecated services, and cost updates. Leverage Azure Advisor and RSS feeds from Microsoft Learn. Azure evolves daily. Stay up to date using Azure Advisor for best practice recommendations, RSS feeds, and service updates, regular reviews of cost compliance and new feature releases. Make change management part of your ops rhythm. Now let's talk about one of the most important concepts, Azure Landing Zones. These are the building blocks that provide a scalable and secure foundation for workloads. An Azure Landing Zone is a well-architected environment that follows Microsoft's best practices to host your workloads securely and efficiently. Think of it as a pre-configured blueprint that sets up networking, security, governance, and compliance so you don't have to build everything from scratch. Think of it like city planning. You don't just build homes, you lay roads, install utilities, and enforce zoning laws. Why do we need landing zones? Without a landing zone, organizations often face chaotic deployments, no standardization, security risks, misconfigured resources, governance challenges, no cost control or compliance. Landing zones solve these by providing scalability, ready for future growth security, built-in policies and guardrails. Compliance aligns with industry standards like ISO, UK Official, and UK NHS, HIPAA, NIST. Cost management controls spending with governance. There are two key types: platform landing zone for shared services like identity, networking, and logging. Application landing zone, where your workloads live, isolated but connected to the platform zone. Before setting up a landing zone, consider business goals. What workloads are you migrating? Existing IT policies. How will governance be enforced? Team skills. Do you need Azure expertise? Compliance needs? Industry-specific regulations? Microsoft provides reference architectures in automated deployment templates, like Azure Modular Landing Zones, to accelerate setup. You can also start small and expand as needed. Why do we need design principles? Without proper design principles, organizations often struggle with sprawling resources, uncontrolled growth, security gaps, misconfigured networks and permissions, governance headaches, no cost tracking or compliance. Design principles act as guardrails, ensuring your landing zone is optimized for consistency, standardized deployments, security, zero trust, least privilege, scalability, ready for future growth, cost control, avoiding wasted spend. Let's break down the core design areas that define a landing zone. Microsoft Entra tenant sets the identity boundary. Decide if you need one or multiple tenants. Identity and access management, zero trust approach. Enforce strong authentication and conditional access. Enforce Azure AD and RBAC, role-based access control. Least privilege access, only what's needed. Multi-factor authentication, MFA, everywhere. Resource organization, structure subscriptions, management groups, and resource groups. Don't dump everything into one subscription. Instead, use multiple subscriptions for isolation, billing, compliance. Organize with management groups, hierarchy for governance. Follow the platform versus workload separation network topology and connectivity. Plan for hub spoke Express route, VPN, or VWAN. A well-architected network is key. Best practices, centralized connectivity, hub VNet for shared services, firewalls, VPNs. Spoke VNets for workloads, isolated but connected. Peering over VPN for hybrid cloud setups. Security, use zero trust principles, Defender for cloud, and encryption standards. Management, automate with Azure Arc, monitor, policy, and change tracking. Governance, define guardrails using blueprints and policy initiatives. Automate compliance benchmarks, NIST, ISO, CIS, Microsoft Defender for cloud for continuous monitoring. Platform automation and DevOps. Use ARM/Bicep, Terraform, and CI/CD pipelines. Don't ignore naming conventions. It's your first line of operational clarity. Combine it with tagging to enable automation, cost control, and policy enforcement. Use a pattern like ORGAP ENV region role and tags like cost center, environment, owner. This helps with cost tracking, automation, and policy enforcement. You've now laid a rock-solid foundation. Your Azure environment is structured, governed, secure, and scalable. In our next episode, we step into the adopt phase, where the real transformation begins, migrating and modernizing workloads with agility and precision. Because building for change means more than setup. It means adoption with confidence. Thanks for watching Azure Thought Works. Stay tuned and remember, don't just build for the cloud, build for change. If you found this useful, hit like and subscribe for more cloud insights. What's your biggest challenge with landing zones? Let me know in the comments.